And welcome back. In this episode of the Short Vol Show, your questions answered. I respond to your comments and questions. And on top of that, we can have a little discussion on MJ, what's going on with that, and on YouTube in general. So let's get on with it. Short Vol Show Live coming up right now. Stay with me. All right, so welcome back. So I have received some viewer questions, and I want to talk first about the MJ industry. It's tough out there. We have seen everything go way down. Now, I experienced being long a stock and watching it absolutely actually go to, if not zero, at least get delisted and go down to 1 penny. That was SUNY back a couple years ago. So I am determined not to let that happen again. Now, I really believe that ACB is a different situation. I don't believe the company is imminently going bankrupt. Now, it's tough with these companies. We talked about this a little with MNK. The way companies work, public companies, is different than you might think of just like coming up with your own knowledge, because a lot of the financing for public companies is tied to the stock price. So companies generally go into debt, and a lot of companies operate at a loss for many years before turning a profit. Look at Amazon, for example. So it's not as basic as, well, is the company turning a profit? Is it making money? And it's not as basic as, well, the stock can go anywhere as long as the company is successful. You can have a company that is making money, is making a profit, but doesn't end up working out because they accumulated so much debt that they need to finance that debt, and it can be very difficult to do that if the stock price goes way lower. A lot of the financing of debt comes from guaranteeing a certain amount of shares to the people who put the debt on. If you're going to loan a company money, it's enticing if someone says to you, well, instead of just giving you cash back for this loan, we're going to give you some shares of the company. And so, those shares could go to the moon and you could make a fortune on it. But if the shares don't go to the moon, they just go lower, then when the company comes back to you and wants more money, you're kind of like, well, I should have just taken the cash last time back because these shares are worthless. And a lot of times they offer convertible bonds and whatnot. Now, I'm not going to get into the real complications of it, but in the case with ACB, it's not a good thing when the stock price goes lower. And we know that there's a lot of people interested in this issue. The MJ industry, I've talked about before, it's kind of a sexy thing to be able to say, oh yeah, I made some money off marijuana, but legally. And it's an edgy thing. I mean, so edgy that YouTube videos get demonetized if you mention these products in a certain way. They're going to get demonetized. If I put a certain title to this video describing ACB company, YouTube will not like it, and they won't want to have even sponsors on it. That's how edgy the MJ stocks are right now. So, but all that being said, when you see this one stock go down and you see the chart for it, let's pull up ACB right now chart, and you see, this big down move, it looks really scary. However, when you put a chart next to it that is an ETF that includes stocks in the entire industry, so we're going to use this thing we've been using a lot here. We're going to study in Thinkorswim, add study, and then compare with. And we're going to compare with MJ. When you look at it and see, oh, well, the ETF that represents the whole industry has the same exact shape as the one for the individual stock, then you realize it's not just this stock's earnings that are doing this to the industry. Now, this is a big stock, and it represents almost 10% of this ETF. This is one of the bigger companies in the industry, certainly Aurora. However, in your mind, is it more likely that one company goes under or every company in the industry goes under? To me, it's more likely that one company goes under. And when you have a chart that is exactly the same between the ETF and the stock, then you realize that all these prices are kind of tied together. And this can be a good thing and a bad thing. But, if let's say, for example, if Canopy Growth all of a sudden starts doing really well, or Tilray starts doing really well, that's going to pull ACB up. If one of these other companies, there's certainly a chance that one of these other companies is going to have good news. And any good news is going to pull all of these companies up because they're all so closely tied together. Now, this is a structural thing. This is the way the market is these days, especially in specific industries where so many people are buying the ETPs instead of the individual stocks. These ETPs have huge power to move the market. And thus, this kind of makes the case for the fact that these stocks can be revitalized, and this can turn around, and the index can move higher, and these stock prices can individually move higher if just a couple companies in the industry start to do better. Now, you heard me, and I don't know if you've watched other videos, but I've said before, I don't like to see people come on and just be cheerleaders for a stock and just, true believers who, no matter what happened, no matter what evidence they're presented with, they are going to stick with their stock. I don't like true believers in any regard. You can pull that over to politics. Some people, they like one politician so much, it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to stick with it. I don't think that's healthy in the stock market or with politicians. However, this is a situation where I don't believe this is the end of the line for Aurora any more than it's the end of the line for CGC or for the indices. The two indices we're talking about are MJ and YOLO. Those are the two big ones for the MJ industry. So, this has been a huge loser here. However, this may be an opportunity down here to get in. Now, if ACB is if it's valued at $2, that's still a $2 billion company, which is pretty big. However, that seems kind of reasonable for the potential that this company has. And we know this industry is going to continue. We know it's going to get bigger. And we know where these things came from. And they certainly could someday take out the highs that they got. I mean, this stock got up to $12. Now, sentiment changes and we get some good news along the legalization front or whatnot, and this stuff can turn around. Now, don't expect this to go back to 12 overnight, of course, but what I'm saying is this isn't necessarily the same situation as a SUNY where you've got one individual company and the financing is just falling apart and it's got huge debts and they just can't get out of it. This is a company that's got multiple revenue streams, multiple ideas in place. It's got stuff in Germany all over the place. And I would encourage people to do what I did in this situation, which was I did abandon Aurora, but I turned around and I bought the index as a proxy for being long Aurora that I feel is a little bit safer. And I think if you're a person who's ridden these MJs all the way down, I think it's definitely worth it to kind of hang in there and stay with it a little bit right here and see if you at least get some pop. But I would do something. I would either lighten up your position a little bit or at least be set in your mind to say that, if this comes back a little bit, I'm going to lighten up a little bit because there are going to be chances to get out here. But I wouldn't. If you've been committed to these for a long time, I would do something here. I would lighten up a little bit because to just do nothing and just let all your money go away from you is not a very bright thing to do. Don't let stuff take your money. No stock is important enough to separate you from all your cash, right? I mean, you got to face it. Don't fall in love with a particular stock. Who cares? There's 1,000 of them out there. I remember my grandmother was in love with Pfizer. She thought Pfizer was like the cat's meow. And it just struck me as funny. And we saw what happened to Enron. The longer you're in the market, the more you'll see that no single stock is something to fall in love with. All right, so let's go through some user questions right now. And let's start with some just on the most recent video. So we have Marcella. I'm not abandoning Tilroy, CGC, and Cron, but I know I should. What a mess. I do options on them, but still not good. Hope one may reverse with this things of legal and sell all the United. I guess she's saying she hopes that it will be legalized in the U.S., etc. So yeah, it has been a mess, and it's not great. Let's see. Be prepared for the VIX to explode up when FISA is released. Okay, so what is FISA? What's this person talking about here? So let's pull it up. FISA is the Federal International Securities. So we all remember FISA court. Those are the FISA Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. We remember the FISA courts. Those are the ones that like secretly approved of the government to spy on us. So here we have Crossfire Hurricane in the FISA court. Lindsey Graham sets date for FISA abuse hearing. Now, I don't know if this has to do with the allegations of Obama spying on Trump, the FISA court thing that they're talking about. I don't know if this is like some I can't speak today. Conspiracy theory thing. I don't know if that's that or if this is like, okay, so it says Lindsey Graham sets date for FISA abuse. And that was I believe the 18th. Okay, so somebody's, okay. The announcement of December 11th hearing is a clear sign the report on FBI intelligence gathering activities related to the 2016 presidential election is slated to be released to the public in coming weeks. So this has something to do with the allegations, I believe, that the Obama administration was spying on Trump illegally. And this person is saying that that is going to pop volatility. And my response to that is maybe, but recently political things really haven't moved the market that much, and there's some empirical evidence to suggest that the tweets by the president are not affecting the market as much as they were before. And it could pop volatility, but you got to think of it this way. I know it's very hard in this world when we've got all this political information pounding us in the face and getting us all worked up to separate ourselves from that stuff. But think of it in terms of there's people out there that are long SPX puts against their positions. There's people that own options, and every day now that they own those options, it's costing them money, and they just feel this money going out of their account, and they own these options, either their protection to the downside or their straddles or their calls, and they're just like, the people that own this stuff, every day they're losing money on it, and nothing seems to happen. And so every time, even there's a little pop in volatility, they're like, oh, let's get rid of some of them. They don't want to own this stuff, and it's just, I mean, I know it's kind of a vulgar analogy, but it's like there's blood, like they're bleeding slowly, and blood's dripping down their legs. And it's like you want to get out of this position that you're long, and any little pop in volatility, you're like, I want to lighten up. That's kind of the situation we're in now for people who own any options. The S&P is really not moving around very much at all, and anybody who owns options, it's not working for them. So for volatility to pop, you need people to come in and be like, I want to buy that stuff. I want to buy those options. I think stuff's going to move. I'm going to buy some options and giddy up. Let's go. And people are pretty gun-shy right now because that position has not been working for a little while. Actually, for weeks and weeks, that position really hasn't been working for people. So, yeah, it sounds potentially important, the FISA thing, but the question is, do enough of those people who have been really sucking wind, holding on to these options, decide to go ahead and buy more, and that's what you need for volatility to pop. You need people to come in and say, I want to buy these put options. I want to buy these call options. I think the market's going to make a move. I'm buying this stuff. Do we have enough people willing to go in and do that after it hasn't been working for day after day? They're just sitting there and bleeding long these options. And that's the question you have to ask yourself. And the way I'm setting it up, I mean, the way, my answer to you is it doesn't seem like that report is going to be that much. Now, certainly from what I can tell, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit here and be a political analyst because there's plenty of other places for that. But I don't see a release of a report about potential spying by the Obama administration on the Trump administration as being something that's really going to move the market. It seems like kind of old news that's being rehashed to me. All right, let's move on to another question. Let's see. All your picks I've been doing the opposite for the last 30 days, and I'm making money on Cron, Tilroy, ACB, and MJ. So congratulations. Maybe that's what people should be doing is see what I recommend and do the opposite, and you'll make money. It's like the George Costanza trade or something. That's hilarious. Let's see. Brent, I think the issue with experts just cheerleading and not being able to objectively see both sides is that they aren't experts. Yeah, good point. Well, we see that a lot on YouTube, especially in this industry. You'll have people that have a lot of followers, and they have a lot of followers because they're good at YouTube, not because they necessarily are good at the markets. And, you can be amusing to listen to and a cool personality, and you can have really flashy screens on your videos and like graphics and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be right as far as the market goes. Now, my claim is that nobody can be right. It's like saying somebody, is a consistent winner at scratch tickets. Like, oh, that guy always wins at scratch tickets. Yeah, he's got a great strategy on the scratch tickets, and he always wins. No one's going to win all the time. And somebody who presents themselves as being a winner in stocks probably isn't. That being said, there is genuine analysis. If you want to be an expert on MJ stocks, it's not that hard. What do? You go and you read. You Google the different stock names and you read every article that comes out on them. You read about the industry. You watch videos about people in the industry, and that's what it takes to be an expert. That's all. But just by nature of the fact that you're long this stuff and you're coming on every day and cheerleading, it doesn't make you an expert. And it doesn't add value. People in the end, they're going to keep watching you if A, they're entertained by you, and B, that you add some value. Give them something that they don't know about. That's what I would recommend. Okay, then Robert Thallium says, clear your internet history before doing these videos. Okay, so, and there's another one that's in the same strain. Google's V Classic Dave. All right, so this is referring to an incident that I had yesterday. And this has happened before with the whole Vanny situation where there was some, let's say, adult content that appeared on the screen. And it wasn't actually pictures or anything, but it was just a link to an adult site appeared in one of my videos. And I apologize for that. That's unprofessional and whatnot. And actually, yesterday what happened was one of my followers who... Actually, his father and he are both followers that I know outside of YouTube. He brought one of my videos and showed it to his high school class. I believe he's a senior in high school right now in Massachusetts here. And so they were watching and learning about the VIX in class, which is awesome. I love to be an educator and teach in classes. And to have my videos in someone's high school class is a great honor. But one of those adult links popped up, and I guess everybody was kind of laughing in the class, and the video was popular for reasons that different than for what I had hoped it would be popular for. So he's referring to that as well. I guess I do need to clear my browser history before I put some of this stuff up, but it's all fun and games. And the professional trader industry has a little bit of, let's say, there's that element of sexiness to the stock market as well that you will see portrayed sometimes in my videos in that way. So there you go. All right, let's move on. Let's see. I have on the VXX put spread. I think I already did that one. What a revolutionary notion that it is, repeatedly rejected with catastrophic results, that all persons are created equal, all persons with specific basic rights. Too bad there are still people believing. I think that person was referring to my comments regarding the Holocaust a few videos ago, and I certainly believe that everybody, all humans have certain rights, and obviously it's wrong to single out some group of people and persecute them. Someone says, outdoor black market usually runs out of product around April. I guess this person's referring to the black market in cannabis and the fact that the harvest happens, generally outdoor harvest happens obviously at the end of the summer, and by April the black market has run out of product, and that's when possibly companies like ACB could find a little boost to the demand. So who sits out there filling your order immediately in a market not looking so special? I forgot who tweeted it, but the observation was of the VIX's average range getting pretty small and generally being small except during spikes. And the traders seem to throttle back before the range gets large. So this was I was talking about in a recent video about putting bids and offers in UVXY and immediately getting filled. And it has to do with these automatic trading algorithms. Maybe a person, for whatever reason, their trading software was bid or offered for this particular option. And, somebody could set something up that said, I want to buy volatility anywhere right now. Find me the cheapest offer and buy me volatility. And if I happen to have an offer in UVXY and I better the best offer, maybe I'm the best thing to buy out there right now, according to one algorithm or something. Who knows why people trade with you or exactly who the counterparty is to your trades. We know there's market-making firms out there who are the counterparty to most trades, but who knows why a specific person is going to trade with you. And that's why it behooves you to put bids and offers out there. If you are going to better the market in any option in the world, you are creating value in the market, and you might get filled. You never know when you're going to get filled. So dangle those offers out there. Better the market. Pretend you're a market maker. If you think that the market's too wide in a particular option, tighten it up a little bit yourself. Put a bid or an offer out there and see what happens. You might just get filled, and it can be a pleasant surprise at times to get filled. That was a particular day where it was very bizarre. Nothing was going on. The market was 2-cent bid at 9 cents. I went in paying 3 cents, and I got filled. I bought these options paying 3 cents. Then I offered one out at 8 cents, and boom, I got filled. I sold it at 8 cents. So I scalped $5 on an option in less than 7 minutes in something that rarely trades. Does that happen often? No, but it happened that day. And, it goes back to that old lottery saying, if you don't play, you can't win. It's the same with options, except with options, sometimes the odds are actually in your favor as opposed to against you, which is what happens in the casinos. And there is a certain jargon that goes with trading, of course, which you must recognize. Getting filled means that the trade went through. This is a symbol. You're filled. Filled. The trade went through. This means get me out. I want out. Off with my head. I want out. I don't want to trade it anymore. You're not filled. You're out. Cancel. There's different jargon which you pick up. All right, so that's a little bit of a little Q&A for the evening. Fortunately, I have a little time lately, and I had my first guitar lesson in months, so I'm all pumped up. I'm ready to be a guitar hero. I need a little practice. I'm going to go back to practice my guitar. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and continue to leave your questions here, and I hope you do well trading going forward. We have expiration in the options tomorrow morning for the VIX. We'll see what happens. It'll be exciting to see what happens. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.